Hi guys, welcome back to April After Dark. I'm in front of another strange background. This actually used to be, I think it used to be like a Halloween scene setter that I had in my house, I don't know how many, maybe 6 years ago or something. And I think I used to have it, maybe part of it, there's like two parts to it, in my backdrop when I first ever did YouTube. I can't remember what year that was, but it was definitely either 5 or 6 years ago. Anyway, and then you can kind of see one of my absolute favorite props. She's made an appearance here and there throughout the lifetime of my channel. Reagan McNeil from The Exorcist. Can't see her that well. It's kind of a weird, thing, but we're just gonna go with it. I have tried to film this video a couple times today, and it's just kind of been a disaster. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about something that I have not personally experienced, but I was wondering if any of you guys might have heard of somebody else having this experience, or if you yourself have had this experience. But there is a phenomena that's been going on for, I don't know how long, I mean, way longer than what I'm probably even aware of. But there is an entity, if you will, the Hat Man. He kind of looks like this. I don't know if you can see that. Is it focusing on that or no? Yeah, this is a book that I've tried to, and this isn't just with this book, but a lot of times I start trying to read a book and, you know, I'll get a few chapters in, and then for some reason I'll get distracted by life or a different book or just whatever else is going on at the moment. And then by the time I do decide to go back to the said book, I've pretty much forgotten what I had read and need to refresh myself. So that's one of the things that's happened with this book over the years. I've had this book for, gosh, you know, it's kind of weird. I think about the same time I had this background, and around the same time period that I first started making videos on YouTube. And it was a little bit after I had first discovered the black-eyed children, which I have kind of a lame video that I'd made several years ago on that. And I have a book on that one as well, because the idea of the black-eyed children really freaked me out. But this is, okay, the first time I ever heard about the Hat Man, I just kind of thought I don't know, it just didn't seem, I don't know, not that I want to ever discount anybody's experience, but, you know, I've definitely had sleep paralysis happen before. I definitely believe in negative entities and positive entities, whatever you want to call those, you know, being a demon or a devil or a, you know, negative, you know, spirit. I don't know. I definitely believe in there being a good, you know, did she? Oh no, that was me. A good umbrella of good, positive, loving entities or energies, and then there's a dark, you know, evil, hateful side of energies and entities. So that's what I believe. I think the core thought that most everybody has, whether that be religion or, you know, whatever religion you follow or what you might think spiritually, I think it all kind of falls under the same basic understanding that there is a good and a bad. That's what I believe. But anyway, so I knew that there would be, you know, negative entities. I've experienced them in, throughout my life, more than I would like to admit, but it kind of ties into my sleep paralysis experiences that I've had, and I'm going to get into that as soon as I can get Toby free to do the video with me, because it heavily involves him, and I have made videos on my experiences before, but I would like to retell them because he's kind of part of the equation, so that will be coming soon. Anyway, when I first had heard about the Hat Man, I had heard that he was basically, you know, it's this entity, this shadowy black, obviously, entity that, you know, he's also been connected to sleep paralysis, which I have experienced, but I definitely have never once ever seen this figure or this entity. And there is a newer documentary that I kind of skimmed through and watched the other night over the weekend, called The Hat Man. It's on Amazon Prime for free if you have Amazon. You can look that up, but it has experts talking about it, and there's a lot of drawings of this, you know, Hat Man. And it never seemed scary to me or creepy or anything. I just kept thinking, I don't know what that is. I mean, I don't know. I guess I just wasn't really scared of the idea of it, and maybe that's because I think of, you know, he has a hat on, and some people say a fedora, and I don't know why. For some reason, the idea of a fedora just sounds kind of, it's not scary to me. It's just kind of funny. I don't know why that is, and I might be the only one that thinks that, but it just never was something like, I'm gonna have terrifying nightmares of this, you know, Hat Man, and he's gonna come after me, and if he's wearing a fedora, I might just be laughing. But no offense to anybody that has experienced that and he was wearing that, but I don't know. I mean, so I guess one of my points is that I've never been nervous about this situation. I've never experienced it. I don't personally know anybody that's experienced it, but I know that there are, you know, hundreds upon thousands of people all over the world that have experienced this entity, and their experiences are very real to them. And I was never scared of the stories or anything until I watched this documentary, and for some reason, I don't know what it was, the image of him and just the way that they would show him, and maybe, you know, I don't know, they did a really good retelling of people's true accounts of experiencing this entity. And it might have been because I just finished reading another book by Melinda K. Lyons. She's on YouTube as Last Frontier Medium. I will link her channel below, but I ordered both of her books, and I read the first book, Demons and Familiars, I believe is what it's called, basically, and it's just a whole giant catalog of how these things came to be, these negative entities. And I've also read another book in the past, maybe 3 times I've read this other book. It's called Sister of Darkness, and it's about a modern day exorcist. And then Melinda Lyons is a demonologist, psychic medium, and near-death experiencer. So gathering both of those, you know, the information that I've read from both of them makes me, you know, very much confirms what I instinctually think about positive and negative energies, and that there are, you know, Melinda, as she would say, there are devils. Like, there's not just one devil. There are several of them, and that's kind of what the other author, Rachel Stavis, Sister of Darkness, and I read that book a few years ago, and I've read it several times. This one I read this other book because I was so engrossed in it in almost an entire day, but it took me 2 days to get through all of it. So anyway, okay, so after reading that, I guess my point is, I ramble, reading the other book, Demons and Familiars, I literally just finished it, and then I watched, I don't know what we were doing, we're just, you know, flipping channels, going through all the apps that we have on in our bedroom that night, and I came upon the Hat Man documentary, and I had realized that there was going to be a documentary, and I think it was 2019. I don't know when they released it on Amazon Prime, but for some reason I just came upon it, which that happens quite often. I don't always see everything that I want to see immediately when it pops up on there, but I was like, oh crap, you know, it's out, I want to watch it. So I turned it on and was watching it. I need to go back and rewatch it again, and I do need to read this book from cover to cover, and this is the next thing I'm going to do. I'll probably have this read in a few days. I am going back to work though, so I don't know how much time I'm going to have, but I will definitely be reading this and get back to you guys on this. But anyway, in the documentary, after hearing what, you know, gathering all the information that I have from a demonologist and about entities and what they do, and that they basically feed on your fear. I think everybody basically knows that. So this Hat Man, he's definitely not a positive entity. That goes without question. He has been connected to sleep paralysis, like I said earlier, which if you haven't been through that, it's not something that you want to go through, maybe once, just so you know what it is and have that experience under your belt, but it's not a positive thing at all. Like, it's quite terrifying. It's a little less terrifying now that I know what it is when it frequently happens, and I'm saying, like, I don't know, it's random when it happens to me. It's never like, anytime I go to bed and I think, I hope I don't have, you know, sleep paralysis, or the old hag syndrome as people like to call it. I hope I don't have that happen tonight, and I think about it a lot. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen, and it usually doesn't. But it comes around when I'm least expecting it. And, you know, I definitely think that that entities like that feed on fear. So that's what basically created them in the whole scheme of things. So of course that's what they want, that's what they need to get bigger and be stronger and to just exist. So for some reason, after reading that book, I think it was I can't remember the name of this, she's a professional in the paranormal field, but I also believe she passed away last year. Rosemary Ellen Gully, I think. I might be wrong on that name, so I'm sorry if I'm not getting that exactly correct, but she's an expert, and she was saying that what these entities do is basically, it is a shadow person, and I think she was saying that the hat kind of has, some people say it just kind of forms, or it's already there when they see this figure, but basically when you think about a hat, it kind of, you know, shows a sign of authority or some type of a leader of some sort. And it is thought that a lot of people have said that they think that, you know, other shadow people, just your typical shadow person that you might see, not that you would see that all the time. I think I've seen one before, but that's for another time, and I was not investigating at all. Anyway, they're not good things to see. No one has ever had a positive experience with that, unless you're seeing like maybe the shadow of a, you know, ghost or something, but not of a negative entity, demon, whatever you want to call it. So the shadow people are basically, what everybody thinks is that they are they're like the minions of the Hat Man, and he's also known to go after specific families for some reason. I don't know, like it's generational is what I've read and heard, is that, you know, maybe somebody's grandmother or aunt or mom had a really terrible experience being terrorized by this Hat Man for years and years and years, and then maybe, you know, a distant cousin or their daughter or their granddaughter or niece has the same thing, you know, or something like that. And they always describe him as being extremely tall, like very tall, very dark, and just, he doesn't do anything, he's just staring at you. And that's kind of terrifying. Of course, when I first heard about the Hat Man years ago, I was thinking, I just don't know what to think of that. Is that just some other urban legend, urban myth, you know? Kind of the same with the black-eyed children. The idea of it, of the black-eyed children, really terrified me. I think because I was first discovering it, and there were all these sightings, you know, across the states, and then as the time kind of went on, I was like, I don't know if that's really going to happen to me. You know, kind of like a leprechaun or something. I'm not saying that that's what that is, and I'm definitely not trying to discount anybody's story, because I have things that have happened to me and they seem unbelievable, but I can stand by knowing that they happened to me. So anyway, here I go rambling again. With the Hat Man, I was not scared initially of it or really intrigued by it. It's probably another reason I didn't really crack open this book. But I read books a lot. I'm a bookworm, so I will always get paranormal books, you know, constantly. So I'm going to read this, and I highly recommend watching the documentary if you guys haven't and you're interested in anything paranormal. It definitely gave me the chills just seeing the figure, and I don't know if that's because I had all this information, you know, freshly in my mind from the Demon and Familiars book on, you know, demonology, and knowing that basically these entities try to appear as the most terrifying thing to you, and not everybody's, you know, scared of the same thing at all. Like, somebody might be scared of something that seems irrational to another person, or, you know, like a lot of people are absolutely petrified of the image of clowns. I'm not one of them. It doesn't work on me. It doesn't scare me. They can look creepy in movies, but I'm not going to see a clown, you know, in a documentary like Wrinkles the Clown, or see one on the street, or, you know, during Halloween and be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna freak out. But I know people that have. I know people that are scared of chainsaws, like have crying fits and have flipped out before we go into a haunted house type of fear. And I didn't know that was a real phobia, but there's phobias of all kinds. So point being is that a lot of these entities, and this is just, I think this goes without saying, they will appear to you as whatever you are the most terrified of. They study you, they know, you know, the ins and outs of what you do, what you think about, what you want to do, what you're ashamed of in your past. So that's all that what I read in the book, and what I've read in another book by an exorcist. So seeing this Hat Man documentary, it kind of just terrified me a little bit. Just it was very eerie, and I was like, ugh, you know, just the sight of what the you know, reimagining that they were doing. And normally reenactments they're just kind of silly to me, but the way they showed it in this documentary, I was thinking, oh, I don't know, that's just creepy, and I would not want some giant, you know, black figure that just is inducing this fear into me. I already know what that feels like from my sleep paralysis, so I would not want to see that. Because apparently he doesn't leave, he just stares at you, and it's very uncomfortable. It's shuddering, obviously. And then I heard that he doesn't just appear, you know, in dreams. He can come during the middle of the day, which that almost seems highly it's hard to wrap my head around the idea of that, but I'm not saying it's not possible. I've learned over the years that there are more things that are possible than what I thought prior to really researching the paranormal, and then, you know, having my own experiences. So anyway, I wanted to know what all of you guys think of the Hat Man. Have you heard about him? Have you had experiences with this, or do you know somebody that's had experiences? They're quite chilling, all of them. And the professional had said that, you know, the hat, it's kind of just to scare you more, like, because of the, you know, having the hat means authority. So if it's like a wide brim hat, which when I think of that, I think of like Freddy Krueger, or like some sort of a top hat. But when I think of a top hat and a fedora, I'm not scared of that. So that probably wouldn't work on me. Maybe that's why I haven't seen this entity, because I don't know, fedora and a top hat just seems silly to me, but that's just me. It might be terrifying if I actually experienced it. And I really hope that that doesn't mean that I'm going to experience it. But hey, if I do, then I'll have a story to tell you guys. Anyway, I wanted to know everything I just asked. Have you seen him? You know, do you know anybody that's had an experience like this of their own? And have you read this book? Or check out that documentary if you're interested in the paranormal and all the urban legends and experiences and whatnot. All right, guys. Let me know what other kind of content that you're interested in seeing. I have been racking my brain to be motivated to do anything, which that happens normally without, you know, what's going on in the world right now. But it's extremely hard now. But I'm going to start working again. Sometimes that kind of keeps me with a regular schedule. I don't really like to be all over the place, and this thing that's going on in the world has definitely screwed up my sleep situation, and just my, you know, the gyms, not being able to go to the gyms or do anything like that. It just keeps me really off track, and I feel kind of lost. So I almost need something to keep me stable. And kind of what I've been using is books, you know, reading books, you know, tanning. This sounds so silly, but you know, self-tanning myself, because that's something that makes me feel alive. It sounds really vain and kind of just shallow, but I love to have a good tan going on the regular. So I do that. I read books, I watch movies, I watch documentaries on all of the streaming things. So and Amazon Prime, ordering stuff from Amazon Prime. I've ordered some pretty ridiculous things off of Amazon Prime and some cool stuff. So if you guys want to see like a haul of that, or of any of the paranormal equipment that I've bought since last fall into now, let me know. I could show you guys. All right, as always, happy haunting, stay scared, and have a very creepy night, and hope you don't see him. Bye.